This is Julia Sotas, and you're listening to A Different Reality. What else is possible beyond this reality that you haven't yet chosen? Hi everybody, this is Julia Sotas and welcome to A Different Reality podcast. So, I'm not sure if you're allowed to do this, but I'm recording this podcast on my bicycle. I have about a half an hour until I get home, and I figured that is the perfect amount of time to record a podcast. So basically, what I wanted to talk about today is my enthusiasm for the Access Consciousness Foundation class. This is a 4-day class that has personally changed my life so dynamically. And basically, I first took this class in 2012, and I took it with Dr. Casey Crisp, who came to Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada, and facilitated this class. And you guys are going to hear the bike gears in the background. This is very funny. I'm in the middle of this beautiful deep forest in South Carolina. So you can probably hear the birds, and so you can ask for the earth here to contribute to you and your body, because it is really a very gifting earth here. And you can Google Palmetto Bluff in South Carolina, and just see how beautiful it is. So I, actually the other thing I'll mention is I moved to South Carolina 6 years ago, and I got married and moved here and became a stepmom of 3 amazing kids and married an amazing man, and really incredible people that I had been asking to show up in my life in the previous years before I met them, and then joined in their family. And one of the things I have to say about that is the tools in the 4-Day Access Foundation are really what gave me the groundwork and the framework to move away from my country, move away from my family and friends, move somewhere with a different culture, a different world, a different set of politics, a different set of lifestyle, and, become a mom. And, at a very young age too. I mean, I was 24 years old at the time. And so I use this Access Consciousness Foundation and these tools that I learned to actually navigate this new situation that, so many people told me that I was insane for choosing. And the fact is, I was insane for choosing it, but sometimes the most insane things that we choose, that we know deep down or from our awareness, what's light for us and what's going to create a greater, lighter future, those things are insane oftentimes based on pretty much anyone's standards. But they're actually what's going to work for you and what is true for you. And that creates a whole other world for you, and a whole other set of choices, and a whole different reality that only you can choose. And I have to tell you guys this story. So I've been thinking about it lately, just as the ways that we create as magic. And one of the things that I invite you to do is to go over your life and look at something that you created basically from magic, by looking at something that you'd like to have, and then it just showed up. Excuse me. I'm just coughing on my own saliva on this bike ride through the woods. So basically, I so this is something I did. So when I was a kid, I basically had a crush on this guy, and he had a crush on me, and basically, and we can talk about energy pulls in a different podcast, or you can just YouTube Julia Sotas energy pull and find out lots of info. But basically, I kind of did an energy pull with this guy, even as a little kid, even before I knew the access tools. And basically, what happened was he started bringing me presents to school. And I grew up in a small town. There were only 700 people in the town that I grew up in. And so it was, it was different culturally. It was small. Everybody knew everybody. And so he kept bringing me these sweet little presents. And I was like so grateful and so excited to get these presents from this guy that I had a crush on. And, I may be like 10 years old. And so basically I said, what would it take for him to give me a ring? Because that to me was like obviously the sign of like true love. And so like a couple days later, he comes to school with this gold ring that fit my ring finger perfectly and gives it to me. And it was so sweet and so kind and such a nice gesture. And my mom met up with his mom, or around town as you do. And his mom said to my mom, so my son has been stealing things from his sister's jewelry box to give to Julia. And they laughed about it. And they said, he said, the mom said, we're going to get her something nice from the jewelry store. And then he brought me this silver heart necklace. So anyways, that story and everything that story brings up, let's destroy and uncreate it all. Right, wrong, good, bad, all nine, pop, pop, shorts, boys, and beyonds. I haven't even thought about I haven't even told this full story or thought about the full story since it happened when I was like 10 years old. But basically, it was this place where I was willing to receive from him, and I was willing to ask for, what I was looking for, and to create this opening and this possibility in the universe. And this sweet, kind, amazing young boy was willing to listen and create a possibility. And he's just such an amazing person, and has grown up to be such an amazing person. And it's like I just have that gratitude in my world for him. And I don't know, it's just what, look at the energy of that story, and look at what is possible that is beyond this reality. And where have you created something where you asked for something, and maybe it involved another person, and maybe it didn't involve another person, but look at where you asked, and it showed up out of the blue as if by magic, and you were able to have that thing in your life, and it can be something simple you wanted a glass mixing bowl, and you find an incredible glass mixing bowl for $2 at the thrift store. Those are the ways in which we actually create. And hard work is so not part of what we are as beings, and so not a part of what makes life real. It's and I highly recommend watching the movie Practical Magic, because it gives you this sense of creating from that space, rather than creating from hard work and difficulty and pain. And trust me, I basically have spent a whole lot of my life, from a young age, needing to be perfect, needing to get it right, and basically whipping myself into submission, making sure I was perfect and right, and things were as hard as they had to be in order to make life real and for me to know I wasn't a bad person, So how many of you think that if you actually just asked for magic in your life and asked for, oh my gosh, squirrels can really jump. I just watched a squirrel jump from a bridge to a tree, and I mean, that thing can jump. Anyways, so I looked at that, and in Access Consciousness, one of the mantra of Access is all of life comes to me with ease and joy and glory. And it's like, is that real to you, or is all of life comes to me with hard work, difficulty, physical pain, and sadness? So everything that is times a godzillion, will you destroy and uncreate it all? Right, wrong, good, bad, all nine, pod, poc, shorts, boys, and beyonds. And, how much of that pain is actually yours, and how much of it are you aware of as a healer? And so many of us are healers, especially people who are looking into things like Access Consciousness, different modalities, different alternative ways of living life. It's like often we're looking down those avenues because nothing else has worked, and we know that there's a greater possibility, and we know that something different is available, and we know that we can actually create that anything that we know in our beings is a possibility is actually something that's creatable. And we're the ones who are weird enough to make it work, and you have this energy that you've known your whole life should be available. And it's like, that's really what the Access Consciousness Foundation 4-day class is about creating. And this podcast isn't about selling the foundation or anything like that. Like, it's not something that is going to necessarily fix or solve everyone's problems. It's more about like this set of tools that, if you use them, will create an opening and a space of something that's going to be a lot gentler and kinder and a softer, greater way of living, where you're actually included in your life, rather than, when we're trying to constantly get it right and we're trying to constantly be perfect, what we're actually doing is excluding us from our own lives and making sure that our life is about rightness and perfection, rather than like the happiness and the caring for us that is possible and available. And as my mother always taught me, you can't truly care for somebody else until you care for you. You actually don't have that framework available until you care for you. And I would say, after using these Access tools for the last 10 years, I'm just the tip of the iceberg, starting to be able to care for me and even take a peek at what it is like to truly care for others. And it's like, I've really spent my life sort of, thinking that I am wrong and that I'm really deep down a really bad person who doesn't deserve anything good in life. And it's like, with these tools, it's like I've been able to heal that and transform that and allow a different possibility. So what different possibility is available to you that is beyond this reality, beyond this human reality, that you have not yet claimed, owned, and acknowledged? And everything that is times a godzillion, will you destroy and uncreate it all? Right, wrong, good, bad, all nine, pod, poc, shorts, boys, and beyonds. And that's the Access Consciousness clearing statement. And what it basically is a way to clear all energies, to transform what is available with your body, with your money, and clear all of those stuck energies of sadness and suffering and guilt and pain that we've had in any lifetime. So that's what that is. Right, wrong, good, bad, all nine, pod, hoc, shorts, boys, and beyonds. Whew. Can you hear me going over the bridge? It's probably kind of loud. Cool. So, the other thing I wanted to say about the Access foundation class is what it's really designed to do is to destroy and uncreate the foundation of your life in order to create a platform off of which you can jump into a greater reality. So what does that actually mean? So the Access Consciousness Foundation, it's like what we're actually doing, it's kind of cheekily named the foundation because it's actually destroying the foundation off of limitation off of which you've built your life. So anytime that you say, I'm wrong, or I wish I could just die, or I hate myself, or, I have such bad luck, or, the world would be a better place if I wasn't in it. What you're actually doing is you're setting up a future where you will have less in your life. And when you ask questions like, what else is possible? Or how does it get better than this? All questions that you learn in the foundation class, what you're actually doing there is you're creating a place where you're actually setting up a future where you have more and where things work out easier and better for you. See, the one thing that we were unfortunately not taught in this reality, that now we have access consciousness so we can know it, so that's awesome, is that the things that you say to yourself today actually set up your future. So like the choices that you made 10 years ago created what your life is today. And the choices that you make today are going to create the life that you have in 10 years from now. So, which can be really daunting for people because it's like, we don't even know how not to crush ourselves down with our thoughts. It's like an automatic system that seems out of our control that we don't even believe that we have an ability to stop. So, and that's where the Access Consciousness Clearing Statement comes in, and the Access Consciousness bars. It's like that's what actually starts to break down that machine of destruction, unkindness, self-hatred, and like this place where wrongness and self-hatred is more vital, valuable, and real than possibilities. So everything you've done to allow your thoughts to run your life rather than possibility to run your life, will you guys destroy and uncreate that times a godzillion. Right, wrong, good, bad, all nine, pod, poc, shorts, boys, and beyonds. And, I wanted to do this podcast because I actually did a YouTube video like six years ago maybe. That was about what is the Access Consciousness Foundation. And I like to do these periodically because I like to give people a little bit of an outline and a framework, for what they can expect from an Access Consciousness Foundation class, because it is so different. And I like to open up the door and create a little bit of an idea of, the tools that you're going to be offered. But at the end of the day, what is going to create for you. And that's what I love about these tools is you have to trust what is true for you. You can't, we will offer suggestions and possibilities in this class, but it's what's actually going to be required is not to listen to your facilitator or make your facilitator the person with the answers to your life. A lot of people like going to psychic mediums. Now I'm going up a hill. Here I go. A lot of people like to go to psychic mediums because a psychic is going to give you the answers and then you can make better choices based on the answers that the psychic gives you. But that's only like a band-aid fix. What is the true fix? What is the true possibility? The true possibility is actually... What is the true possibility? Now I'm going down the hill. That's a bit easier. The true possibility is actually being able to know that for yourself and being able to have total awareness and total choice. Because the thing is all of us are capable of being what I would call psychic mediums, but I would go beyond psychic medium, and I would say that you know what you know. And they say that we know absolutely everything in the universe. There is nothing we don't know. For trillions of years, trillions of dimensions, trillions of lifetimes, to infinity, there is nothing, not one single solitary thing that you don't know. You know all of it. So what I would say to that is where you want to be and where you want to set your sights, so that you can be the strong, empowered being that you are, rather than needing to have the source and the answers outside of you. What if one of the keys to happiness and being the glistening, glittering being of light that you are, and that somewhere you can be, and it's like life just keeps kicking you in the teeth, and it's like you are not that glittering, glistening, shimmering being, but it's like you are that being. And it's like, how do you get there? You start to question what it is that you have been pretending not to know, that you have hidden from yourself through trillions of years, and it's like, we can look to others for the answers, but that will not be the source of the true power and potency and greatness that you came here to be, and that you are looking for and seeking and desiring, with every part of you. And one of the things that I see stops people a lot from becoming that is, arrogance. It's like we are conditioned not to be arrogant, and we are conditioned to have this place where if we know what we know, and we don't have to seek out others for advice, if we don't have to seek out others for constructive criticism, if we don't have to seek out others for leadership, if we lead our own lives and we begin to know, based on what's, in Access we say, what is true for you makes you feel lighter, and what is alive for you makes you feel heavier. And so what you really have when you get down to that is you can sort out everything with just that one tool, and you can look at, if I make this choice, what is my life going to be like in 10 years? Is this a choice that's going to contribute to a world that I want to have in 10 years? Or is this choice going to contribute to more pain, more suffering, and more of me having to look for the answer outside of me in 10 years? Capiche? I was watching an Italian movie 2 nights ago, Moonstruck with Cher, and my husband is Italian, and I am totally enamored with the Italian culture while being totally frustrated with the Italian culture. And I watched Moonstruck with Cher, and I was like, oh my gosh, I so get my husband more than I ever have. And the guys on the show, the uncles, are always like, capiche, capiche. So anyways, it was very funny. So it's like, what's it going to take to have the confidence that you can have? What's it going to take to be the leader that you know that you are? And what's it going to take to have success that is beyond human reality, and is beyond the need for your mom to validate you, success that is beyond the need for your dad to validate you? What's it going to take to have success? And I mean that even if your parents have passed, I still mean that. We still look, and that's another part of the foundation, is we talk about entities and ghosts, and we talk about what happens to you when you die, and like, how do you deal with, the ghosts in your house? How do you deal with past loved ones? And how do you actually create a communion and a greater possibility with all of those beings? Because they're so a part of our everyday life, but we don't have the tools that we need to communicate with them. So I personally think it's kind of amazing to have those tools to talk to entities. So, what else? There was something else I wanted to say. But yeah, just looking at like, if you know what you know and you create that greater possibility, it's like, are you willing to be different than others? And it's not that you rub it in anyone's face. And the other thing we say in Access is look normal, be strange, and just for me, just for fun, never tell anyone. Because the thing of this is it's not normal, it's not what most people are talking about, it is very unusual to start to look to your own awareness for things rather than, looking to what you are aware of for things. And, when you start to do that, people will call you arrogant and, see you as, somebody who they can't relate to, sometimes. But that's where, just for me, just for fun, never tell anyone. And, the other thing too, and I will end this podcast shortly as I have arrived to my house from my bike ride, and there is more wind, I think, right here. But what you want to look at too is like, what have I decided is so wrong about me that I won't start knowing what I know? Because I see a lot of people getting stopped believing that they are so wrong and so horrible and so bad that they don't want to start that journey and they don't want to start that exploration because they have decided that they are so wrong and bad that that's not, if they start down the awareness journey, that's not going to yield them the results that they want, because they're going to find out terrible things about themselves that they've been trying to hide. And, there are humbling things that we are going to have to look at, as we get more aware. And it's not always easy. Sometimes I'm like, oh my gosh, why didn't that situation work? And then I look, oh, it was me. I was the thing that destroyed that situation. I did it because I'm an asshole. And I treated that person in a way that didn't work. But it's like, you can always apologize. You can always say sorry. And you can always create a different possibility. It's just, you have to have the courage and the strength to do that. But it's like, what becomes possible when you do? And it's like, did you come here to be something great and something different and to create a different world of possibilities for you and everybody else around you? So thank you guys so much for joining me today. And it's like, I hope that this offered you, an easier, a bit of an insight into what access consciousness is and a bit of an insight into what these tools can be for you. And I invite you to come play. We have the Access Bars class, which is the first class. Anyone can take it. There are no prerequisites. And it's a one-day class. And then once you've taken that, you can take the amazing, splendid, not for the weak at heart, deep dive that is the Access Consciousness Foundation class. It's offered during COVID. It's offered online by about 700 different facilitators all over the world. And it is also offered live all over the world. So thank you so much for joining me and for making it to the end of the podcast and being here with me. And it's like, what else is possible? And truly, what would it be like if you didn't have to live by the laws and the social laws of this human reality, and you could have something that you could be more of you and something that would actually work better for you? So how does it get better than this? And we will see you next time on a totally different reality. Bye-bye.
Thanks for joining me on another episode of A Different Reality. It would be awesome if you could share this podcast with your friends and family. I'm always looking to spread the seeds of consciousness. And you can find me on my website at juliasotas.com. Until next time, what energy, space, consciousness, and choice can you be to create a reality totally beyond this reality with total ease?